She said, "You're selfish if you don't fund my brother's dream." I said, "Fine, $100 is enough." Then she tried to destroy my business, and I stood firm. Hold on tight, because this story gets intense. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and join the community. I never thought a simple dinner could turn into the most stressful night of my life. But there we were. Natalie, my wife of 4 years, sitting across from me, eyes flashing with a mix of anger and determination. "My brother needs $1 million to start his business," she said, almost like it was obvious I'd say yes. "You have to sell your company to help him." I froze for a second, fork in hand, trying to make sense of what I had just heard. $1 million? Sell my company? For Austin, her brother, who had never held a real job for more than 8 months in his life? "Let me call my lawyer," I said, my voice calm but firm. Her face hardened. "Why would you need a lawyer? It's just family." "Because you just asked me to destroy 6 years of work for someone else's fantasy business," I replied evenly. I picked up my phone and dialed Veronica, my attorney. "Put it on speaker." "Veronica, quick question. If my wife demands I sell my business to fund her brother's venture, what are my legal protections?" Veronica didn't even pause. "The prenup protects your business. She has no claim to it. But given the circumstances, we should discuss asset protection strategies. Can you come in tomorrow morning?" I hung up and looked at Natalie. Her hands were shaking. "You humiliated me. You're asking me to destroy my family for Austin," she yelled. I didn't argue. I just sat there, finishing my dinner in silence, thinking about what Veronica had meant by asset protection strategies. I had a feeling this was just the beginning. A little context. I'm 38, founder of a software company I started 6 years ago in my garage. Worked 80-hour weeks, ate ramen for months. Today, the company is worth around $4.2 million. Solid, profitable, consistent revenue, and supporting 12 employees. Natalie is 36, a part-time yoga instructor making maybe $28,000 a year. We met after my business was already growing. We had a prenup before the wedding to protect my business interests. Then there's Austin, her brother, 33. He's a different story. Always a new $1 million idea, never a steady job. Last year, he wanted $50 to start a revolutionary food truck. I said no. He didn't talk to me for 3 months. And now, here we were, $1 million demand at the dinner table. I asked calmly, "What kind of opportunity?" "He's launching a consulting firm. Marketing and brand development. Potential clients lined up. He just needs capital," Natalie said. I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Austin? The guy who posts crypto scam advice on Facebook?" Her face went stone cold. "Your company is doing well. You can afford to help. This is family." "Family doesn't mean gambling away my company for your brother's fantasy. Your assets are not liquid, and even if they were, $1 million is a fire I'm not willing to light," I said. "You won't even consider it?" She shrieked. "Consider what? Destroying everything I built?" "No," she stood up. "Then you need to sell the company or take out a loan against it." "Austin deserves this chance." I put my fork down. "Let me call my lawyer." Her eyes narrowed, furious. "You're being selfish." I just stared. This was not going to be a calm discussion. I knew that. And deep down, I also knew I had to protect my company, no matter the cost. The night ended with Natalie storming out, slamming the bedroom door. I finished dinner alone, knowing that whatever came next, this was going to escalate far beyond a simple family disagreement. And as I sat there thinking, I realized one thing. This wasn't just about money. This was about trust, respect, and the lengths someone would go to manipulate it. To really understand why Natalie's demand shook me, you need to know a bit about how my life was structured before this. I started my software company 6 years ago, literally in my garage. I was 32, running on little sleep, eating ramen for months, and working 80-hour weeks. Every penny I earned went back into the business. I didn't have a social life. I didn't have a life outside the company. But slowly, painfully, it grew. Fast forward to today, it's a solid $4.2 million valuation, profitable for 3 straight years, with 12 employees who depend on me. I like to think of it as more than a business. It's a responsibility. Every decision I make affects families, not just my own. Natalie and I married 4 years ago. We met after the company had already started making waves. She works part-time as a yoga instructor, makes maybe $28,000 a year, and honestly, that's fine. But her perspective on money, work, and risk? Completely different from mine. We signed a prenup, protecting my business, which seemed like standard procedure at the time. I trusted her. I thought we were on the same team. Then there's Austin, Natalie's brother. 33 years old, no steady employment record longer than 8 months, but always the next big thing. Last year, he tried to rope me into a $50 investment for a revolutionary food truck. I said no. He didn't talk to me for 3 months. Yet, somehow, he had the audacity to come back and demand $1 million. Natalie's loyalty to her family is admirable, I guess, but she completely underestimated the stakes. $1 million isn't petty cash. It's a risk that could destroy the foundation I've built, and she was demanding I take that risk without a second thought. Before the dinner, everything seemed fine. But I guess she'd been planning this for a while. She ambushed me, calm at first, then emotional, then downright furious when I didn't react the way she wanted. She framed it as helping family. But it was manipulation. I could see the pattern. Every push, every argument, every attempt to make me feel selfish. I remembered the prenup, and I knew I had Veronica to lean on. That night, after Natalie stormed out, I started considering her advice seriously. Asset protection. It wasn't just about a prenup anymore. I had to secure my business legally, so no one could ever force me into a financial decision like this again. The company had grown steadily. Employees counting on me, clients trusting us, a legacy in the making. And Natalie was willing to put all that at risk for her brother. For what? An untested consulting firm that might not even survive its first quarter. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just a moment of bad judgment. This was a red flag for everything that was about to come. Family meetings, threats, client interference. It was all looming on the horizon. I just didn't know how intense it would get. I knew I had to act fast. I had to protect the business, my employees, and myself. If I didn't, this dinner table demand could have spiraled into something much worse. And deep down, I also knew one thing. Natalie wasn't going to stop. This was only the beginning. The next few days were a nightmare. Natalie didn't speak to me after that dinner, but it was clear she wasn't going to let it go. I met with Veronica the following morning, trying to plan a strategy before things got out of hand. She explained that my prenup already protected my business. But there was a loophole. If Natalie could argue that marital assets had been commingled, or that the company's growth was due to contributions she made during the marriage, she could try to claim a portion of the business in divorce proceedings. "Let's close that loophole," Veronica said. Her plan: restructure the company into an irrevocable trust, with me as trustee and beneficiary. That way, the business would legally belong to the trust, and Natalie would have no claim, no matter what. The legal fees would be $8,500, but it was worth every penny. I agreed. 3 days later, the Reynolds Business Trust was official. I was the trustee, controlling every decision. Natalie couldn't force a sale or touch a dime. I thought that would end it. I was wrong. Thursday night, Natalie returned with reinforcements. Austin, her mother Lorraine, and her father Frank. They were all waiting in my living room when I got home. "What's this about?" I asked, trying to remain calm. Lorraine stepped forward. "We need to talk about Austin's opportunity." "No, we don't," I said firmly. Frank tried the fatherly angle. Son, we're family. Natalie says you're being difficult about helping Austin get started. Austin jumped in. I've done the research. I just need capital to launch my consulting firm. I couldn't help but laugh. Austin, you still owe me $3,000 from 2 years ago when you borrowed it to fix your car. And now you want $1 million? His face went red. That was different. How? This is just another fantasy you want me to fund, I replied. Natalie's voice grew cold. So that's it? You're letting your brother-in-law fail? Not failing, I said. He just won't succeed using my money. Frank's voice tried to reason with me again. Think about family loyalty. Austin's success is everyone's success. Family loyalty doesn't mean gambling away my company or my employees' livelihoods, I said, standing up. This meeting is over. Leave. They left. Throwing dirty looks my way, Natalie last. But the battle was far from over. The very next morning, Natalie tried a different approach. What if we compromise? She asked calmly at breakfast. $500,000. That would be enough to get Austin started. No, I said. There's nothing to consider. Anything over a few $1,000s for a real plan is reckless. She lost it, threw her coffee mug, shattered it against the wall, grabbed her bag and stormed out. I didn't see her for days. Then came the sabotage. My business partner, Leo, called me. Dude, Natalie's calling our clients, spreading rumors that you're unstable and the company's in danger. My stomach dropped. My biggest client, Mrs. Patterson, was on the line. Everything's fine, I assured her. But this wasn't just rumors anymore. It was potential damage to my livelihood. I called Veronica. Send a cease and desist. Document everything. This is tortious interference. 2 days later, Austin showed up at our office unannounced, refusing to leave. Police had to escort him out. I immediately filed a restraining order, 500 feet. 1 weekend in jail later, and he learned to stay away. Meanwhile, Lorraine tried to turn my extended family against me, called my parents, siblings, spreading lies about me being controlling and withholding money from Natalie. My mom, a retired family court judge, called Lorraine and calmly explained that demanding someone liquidate their company is financial abuse. The calls stopped. Even Frank tried a man-to-man intervention at my house. If you just give Austin $1 million, you could save the marriage, he said. I'm losing my wife because she values her brother's fantasies more than our marriage, I replied. Not the same thing. The threats, ambushes, sabotage, everything kept coming. But I had one tool they didn't. The trust. My company was legally untouchable. Even if I wanted to give Austin money, it would have been a breach of fiduciary duty. By the end of that week, it was clear. Natalie's family-first argument wasn't just about money anymore. It was about control, manipulation, and testing boundaries. And I was not giving in. 3 months after Natalie first demanded I sell my business, the divorce hearing finally came. My lawyer, Veronica, was prepared. Natalie showed up with her fresh-out-of-law school attorney, looking confident. But that confidence quickly faded in court. The judge reviewed the prenup and the trust documents I had set up. Natalie's lawyer argued that the business had increased in value during the marriage because of my efforts and employees. The judge asked if Natalie had contributed financially, worked for, or provided services to the business. She admitted she had only offered emotional support. That's a marital duty, not a business contribution, the judge said. He upheld the prenup completely. The business, all assets, and my house remained mine. Temporary spousal support was set at $2,200 a month for 42 months, much less than Natalie's initial demand of $8,000 for 10 years. Each party would pay their own legal fees. Natalie was stone-faced. She hadn't expected the prenup and trust to hold so firmly. Outside the courthouse, she tried to confront me. You planned all of this, she said. I protected my business after you demanded I destroy it, I replied. I'm not happy the marriage ended, but I'm satisfied I still have my company. Austin, meanwhile, had no plan B. Without my funding, his consulting empire crumbled. He moved back in with his parents and took a call center job making $18 an hour. Natalie continued to push him to chase dreams, but reality hit fast. Frank eventually told him to pay rent or stop whining about entrepreneurship. For me, life slowly returned to normal. The company's doing well, landing new clients and raising revenues. Employees who actually helped build the business saw bonuses. The $4.2 million I protected remained intact. There was one final touch. The 100 bill. I withdrew a crisp note from the bank, put it in an envelope, and wrote, "For Austin's consulting business," on it. I mailed it to him. He called an hour later, screaming incoherently. I saved the voicemail and sent it to Veronica, documenting more harassment. The bill, taped together, now hangs in my office. A daily reminder of the difference between someone who builds and someone who expects handouts. Through mutual acquaintances, I later found out Natalie had planned to divorce me from the start. Austin's business was just a tool to pressure me into liquidating the company. It was a calculated setup. But Veronica's foresight and the trust structure completely neutralized their plan. Today, the restraining order against Austin is still active. He violated it once, showed up near my office, got arrested, and hasn't contacted me since. Natalie is now working full-time, supporting herself, and paying the spousal support on schedule. I'll admit, divorce always sucks. But I learned something important. Protect what you build. Some people want handouts. Others want to create something lasting. I chose the latter. The $100 framed bill reminds me of that every day. At the end of the day, I still have my company, my employees are thriving, and I can sleep at night knowing I did the right thing. And that, more than anything, is worth more than any $1,000,000 handout I refuse to make. Top Reddit comments say things like, "Wow, I didn't see that twist coming. She played the long game perfectly. He got what he deserved." I felt that ending deep. One of the best stories I've heard here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to make this channel your own and catch the next wild Reddit tale.